I always tell people your body is a big filter. We filter light, and we see color. We filter sound waves, and we hear words. We filter people's aura, and we get a vibe. We we filter food into microscopic nutrients. Um, we filter our water that we intake to get out all the crap that's in it because it's not normal in our body. We filter sunlight and we create vitamin D, right? So our body's a big filter, and the more crap you put into a filter, the faster you have to replace the filter. So if you look at it through that lens, you go, oh yeah, well, I should probably treat my filter with with more respect, right?
What's up, you beautiful beasts? I'm Katie. I'm on a mission to help humans become their favorite versions of themselves and to strive for overall health by healing their relationship to food and exercise, healing their relationship to their body, and most importantly, healing their relationship to themselves, all without ever having to step on a scale. I have had the privilege to talk to all kinds of different humans who have been through a plethora of experiences just being a human and existing. I believe that every single time someone shares their story, at least one person listening will learn from it, be inspired by it, and maybe, just maybe, even change the entire direction of their life. These are the stories of humans unveiling their beautiful beast. Keep listening. This is the Unveiling the Beast podcast. Welcome to the Unveiling the Beast podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you for your yes. And just to tell you a little bit about what I do is I help people heal their relationship to food and exercise, heal their relationship to their bodies, heal their relationship to themselves, because there's so many people out there that so like me, for example, I became obsessed with the numbers and the tracking. And if I didn't do it perfectly every single time, I would be in a ball on my bed crying and feeling like a failure. So I know not everybody gets like that, but that was me and my story. And so I help people that are like I was, and I help them just heal. And so
That's amazing.
yeah. And so I feel my approach to health is yes, movement, yes, nutrition, and how much sleep are you getting? What do your surroundings look like? Are you doing stress relief techniques with, pampering yourself with a massage or taking a bath or whatever? And so it's more like an all-inclusive ball of health. And therefore I reached out to experts like you guys. So
I couldn't agree more with everything you just said. We would be silly to follow the typical health standard of America where everything is isolated and there's a fence between your knee and your ankle, and there's a fence between your colon and your stomach, and there's a fence between your brain and the rest of your body. It's like the route at which you're going about helping people is 100% necessary. You can't look at it from one angle and expect all things to improve.
yeah.
And things are give and take, so if you do only focus on one thing, and which in the case of most modern medicine just means you give one synthetic form of something to help with a certain symptom, it's going to be a trade-off. There's going to be another symptom that pops up as a result. And I don't think that's talked about enough. So I commend you for taking that approach, and I appreciate you for having me on today. I'm excited for us to chat and talk and see how we can help more people.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you.
So I'm like sitting here, I'm intrigued with what you do. What's your like general avatar?
My general avatar. What does that mean?
Like who's your most common client? What's their like demographic? Is it obviously it's people that are dealing with certain things.
Hmm.
But like, what's the age and how do you find them and do they find you? There's all sorts of questions I have, I guess, wrapped into
Oh,
that.
okay. Um, and now I get the avatar thing. I call it my seeker.
I
People
love
that
it.
are already people that are actively seeking the information that I already have or the
Mhm.
experience. Um, Lately I've been meeting people, strangely enough, through this podcast.
Nice.
Um, and it's just funny because my intentions were to, have interviews, put the episodes out, and people hear it and go, "Oh, I'm interested in what she does." But the
Mhm.
people I've been interviewing are like, "Oh my gosh, I think I need your services." I'm like, "Okay, that's different, but yeah, let's do it."
Even better.
Um,
The win-win.
but yeah, I would say it tends to be mostly women. I do have one male client. Um, but mostly people who are, like I said, like I was obsessed with numbers,
Mhm.
mainly the number on the scale.
Yeah.
Like if it's down, I'm having a good day today. If it's up, oh my gosh, I'm a failure, right?
Mhm.
And you and I know with our expertise that weight is probably the least interesting um data point
Yeah.
because like I can go pee right now and lose half a pound, And so like it's really not um like weight as a whole is important, but the actual number on the scale means
Correct.
diddly shit, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
No, you're right. It's funny. I had a client this morning that was like, stepped on the scale this morning because he saw someone else doing it. He's like, I stepped on the scale this morning. I was up 5 pounds. I was like, you probably just didn't go to the bathroom yet. It's fine. and
yeah.
and he was like, well, sadly enough, I did. I was like, all right, who cares though? I mean, do you feel way worse? Are you was it 4 weeks of not doing what you should have, from a day to day, hitting your basic foundational health principles? If you're way off and you're not doing the stuff you should be doing, and you got to give yourself a little like slap on the butt to like, hey, come on, let's go, let's get moving, let's get back on track to what we know helps me feel better, but also helps the
Mm.
scale move. And then I always say, the other thing that's kind of BS or diddly squat is BMI, right?
Oh yeah.
BMI is more like BS. That's the phrase that we quoted here. And so um, just to look at someone and go, oh, you're this height and this weight, but not have a visual of them, not understand the composition of muscle mass or body fat or visceral fat or water, it's very idiotic. I don't
Yeah.
get why it's the only thing doctors look at, really, right? They take your height, they take your weight, and they go, BMI's high. You got to do this. It's like, okay, well, would you say that to, I don't know, Derrick Henry, one of the best running backs of all time? Like, no, he's a freak athlete. He's a big guy.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that he's obese. He has an extra 300 pounds of muscle. It's not
Yeah.
it's not just weight that matters, and it's not just the scale that matters, like you said. Looking at things like how the clothes fit, right? How you feel when you
Mhm.
wake up in the morning. If you are seeing, and the other thing, if you're seeing the scale go down and down and down, and you're just forcing yourself to like not be happy with the food you're eating and the lifestyle you're living, the end goal is happiness, right? The end goal is like to
Yeah.
be joyful and feel fulfilled and be in charge, and have like what I would call nutritional freedom, the ability
Mhm.
to know what decision you should make at what time and when to let loose and enjoy the foods you want to enjoy. Other than that, if you're like starving yourself to hit a certain goal, I promise you it's not going to make you feel any better. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. That was me. Um, Two things I want to say about that is like I was doing anything and everything I could to get that number down and to shrink my body as much as
Mhm.
possible. So on the surface, it was this is all in the name of health.
Hmm.
Underneath all the layers was I've been told my whole life that I'm fat and ugly and I need to lose weight and be smaller and I take up too much space. And so like that's kind of, what I help with my clients is the I call it mental training. Like where are your blocks? What are your beliefs that you might not even be aware that you believe in? And like how can we either tweak how you relate to these things or tweak your understanding or tweak your mindset to move forward in just being a healthy human and not
Hmm.
necessarily meaning that you have to shrink yourself as tiny as possible, you know?
Yeah, that's you'll be much better. You'll be much more help to society if you are practicing healthy habits and you are a happy person versus if you are uh, in the name of health practicing unhealthy habits
Yeah.
and not being a genuinely happy person, because that's going to show. There's no way that you are the best version of yourself to your family and to the people around you if you're like starving yourself and you're constantly anxious about how much you weigh that day, and between every meal you're doing all sorts of things like from the athletic side. I always remember in high school kids that were wrestling that would like literally spit into a bottle all day because they never took their weight seriously until like 3 days before they had to hit a certain weight in order to match it, in order to be in their match for that weekend tournament or whatever. And all
Yeah.
of a sudden, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they're eating Burger King and all sorts of junk food and nothing healthy and drinking soda. And then all of a sudden, Thursday, Friday comes and they're like, I haven't eaten in 48 hours. And they're just spitting all day into a cup to dehydrate themselves
Yeah.
and starve themselves down to a certain weight. And they'd be miserable. You wouldn't
Hmm.
want to hang out with your friend all of a sudden. You'd be like, no, he's doing that thing again. I don't want to talk to him.
Yeah.
So
And
it's, oh, go for it.
I was just gonna say, God forbid somebody say, um, that's disordered eating.
Yes, correct, right.
Yeah.
Guidance counselors would get smacked across the face for
Yeah.
for pointing that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not healthy. It's not good. And even then, it's like when you're that age, you're like, you don't know any different to some extent, and you're just taking the advice of people around you. And like in that case, your coaches, and your
Hmm.
coaches were wrestling people, so they just did that because in the 50s, that's what you did, and nobody knew any better. So they just pass it on, and then all of
Yeah.
a sudden, you're in that same boat. Yeah. You
Yeah.
gotta, like you said, retrain your mental state, like your beliefs.
Yeah. And then it's also amazing how many of those trends or, we learn so much crap from influencers that don't even have an education in that. But my point was that like
Correct.
it's amazing how much I was able to filter out once I got an education in
Mhm.
nutrition and I got my personal trainer certification. It's like, oh my gosh, like half of the stuff I've learned is total bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. You can't do more until you know more, right? It's like
Yeah.
you have to like seek the truth and unlearn more than you have to learn, probably. That's really
Mhm.
what it comes down to.
Yeah.
What's your what's like your favorite um like aha moment that people have? Is there a specific thing that you teach that like people all of a sudden it clicks and you can like see it click for them? Is there anything like that?
Um, the thing that comes up right now is when we are discussing like the number on the scale, and that's so
Mhm.
important, and you're saying that weight's not important, but I felt so good when I was at XYZ weight, and I say, okay, what were you doing? Like,
Mm,
what were you doing when you felt good? Because I'm I tell most of my people, throw your scale away or put it away in the closet. Don't even look at it, but do the things, like focus
Uh,
on the behaviors. What were you doing when you felt that good? And was it actually that weight or was it what you were doing? So I think that's like a big, oh, okay, I get it.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that sticks out the most for me.
No, that makes sense. I hear it here all the time. I have, with like in-person clients, I have an older clientele, just because of the fact that they deal with a lot of injuries, and I'm someone who's with my sports medicine background. I'm familiar with how to still improve range of motion and strength and all of that stuff without bothering injuries, and at the same time kind of helping recover and rehabilitate them. So like naturally I've worked with a lot of older individuals down here. So what they will ask all the time is like, or what they'll say is, I want to get back down to that weight when, you know, I remember feeling so good at, let's say, like 125 or something. And you're like, okay, so when was that? And you're like, oh, well, it was like, 40 years ago. I think I was like 25. Okay. So now you're 65. What what were you doing differently? Like, your entire life was different, right? Uh, you were walking everywhere. You weren't sitting and watching TV as much because it wasn't really around. If you wanted to, there's so many different things that were going on in their lives. And I think that's a good point. Like, focus on the habits, focus on the behaviors, don't focus on the number. Because also, I mean, do you expect a car to run the same 30 years in as it did, when it drove off the
Yeah.
lot? No, there's going to be
Yeah.
wear and tear. You have to expect some of that. So don't focus on that. Focus on the behaviors that got you feeling that good. That
Yeah.
makes sense. That makes sense.
I think another misconception too that people have is, and based on, what they learn from the outside world is we have this mindset that we're supposed to hit this weight and stay there for the rest of our lives. And like,
Hmm.
no, we're not machines. We're humans. And, we have different traumas, we have different DNA, we have different experiences, we have different everything, we have different emotions. Emotions are stored in the body. And
Hmm.
it's like we're just not meant to stay this weight or one weight for the rest of our lives. And I think when
That's a good
people
point.
like can learn that, it's kind of relieving, you
Yeah,
know?
that's a good point. And I love what you said about emotions. Like, issues are in our tissues, right? We store them there.
Mm,
Um, and I love to talk about, like, ancestrally what used to happen, correct? So depending on where you live, I don't know how much the weather fluctuates where you are, but here it's hot, hot, or it's hot. That's really the two seasons we
mhm,
have: summer times two, or summer. But I grew up in New England, in Rhode Island, and we would be silly to think that it's not a normal physiological adaptation to store more body fat during cold winter months, right? That's a
mhm.
totally normal physiological adaptation that allowed us to continue to evolve and be who we are today, right? So
Yeah.
um, when you do make people understand, or you give them that information, and they go, oh, I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, why do polar bears eat monstrous amounts of food before they hibernate, right? Like, it's a normal concept. Squirrels get all fat and chunky before the winter seasons, right?
Yeah.
And you see them in the summer and they're like stick skinny. Um, that's definitely normal, and it's part of human process as well. So I think that's a great point. You shouldn't be the same weight all the time, year round, 24/7, and never expect to fluctuate. Um, we go through seasons, not only geographically, but also just in our life, right? We have different
Mm.
chapters of our lives. Um, like I just, became a father a year and a half ago, right?
Oh,
So
congratulations.
thank you. I appreciate it. And man, I would have never guessed how easy it would be to like slip out of. I'm so glad I had developed these habits early, right, before becoming a father, because like how quickly somebody could just get overwhelmed and go, whatever, I'm just not doing this anymore. Like I'm so tired, I'm so run down. If I don't have guidance, I'm not spending the brain power to go into the gym and figure out an exercise routine on my own. And I just want to sit down and eat food. I don't want to cook it first. I don't want to go through the process of like figuring out what to eat. I could so easily go down that rabbit hole and understand where people come from as why do people gain a lot of weight when they become parents? That's a very
Yeah.
common trend. They're tired, they're overworked, they're exhausted. They need convenience foods, right?
Yeah.
And especially that first 3, 4 months, and then all of a sudden you've developed a habit of those things, and they just continue to trickle into your life. So I think being graceful with yourself and understanding that you're one good habit away from changing the momentum, and the same thing will always hold true. You're just one bad decision away from the momentum going in the other direction. Um,
Yes.
but more importantly, you're one good decision away from going back.
Yeah. I want to highlight the grace piece, the giving
Mhm.
yourself some grace, because it, especially as if you're somebody who obsesses over numbers, give yourself some damn grace,
Yeah.
and especially if you're a new parent. Side story that's totally not related. Well, it's kind of sort of related, but I got my personal trainer certification 11 days before I gave birth.
Wow, congrats 2 times in a row.
I was 280 pounds. I gained a lot of weight during my pregnancy because I had a complication, but I was like so determined to get this certification because I had been enrolled for like 2 years. And so I walked in and they were like, you can take a break if you need to.
Yeah.
Like, I'm good, I'm good. Let me just waddle on over here.
Yeah.
But I don't know why that story popped up when you were talking about becoming a parent, but there you go.
No, that's spot on. I had to remind my girlfriend Amy the same thing. Uh, sh she had gained a lot of weight, and she had she had even lost weight due to complications during the middle of her pregnancy. And she was way bigger than she had, I guess, envisioned, right? You kind of get a sense of like, oh, well, my sister was pregnant a few years ago. This is how big she got. Oh, this, smaller frame girl had only gained this much weight. Oh, we're not two big people, so I shouldn't gain that much weight. And then boom, all of a sudden your expectations go out the window, and you're
Yeah.
like, and she, that caught her off guard, and she really had to work on giving herself, a mental break and grace on like getting back after
Yes.
giving birth, right? It's not easy. Another thing that I would have never known, nor can you understand fully until you go through it or watch someone go through it so intimately, right? And
Yeah.
so my real focus these days is trying to help parents as a result of that. Mostly dads, because I grew up playing sports. I love the idea of uh, a guy who played sports and was very active as a kid, and then maybe went to college, maybe played in college, who knows, at least maybe intramural or recreationally, and then all of a sudden you get out of college and you get wrapped up into work life and then family life, and then you lose your way. You have that competitive edge in you, you have that desire to express yourself physically through sport and through working out and through exercise, but you don't know how to necessarily. You don't have the plan, and you don't have the accountability to do it. And that's really where I want to I want to start helping more people because the other thing I love to do, I played college basketball, I played football and
Mm.
baseball in high school as well. And so now playing in like adult leagues, um, you see these guys and they're like 40. They haven't done anything really besides play in this adult league. And it makes me hurt watching them like run. Sometimes like, oh gosh, that just looks painful the way you're doing it. Where no, you're not light on your feet, you're not agile anymore, you're very stiff. The ball's
Yeah.
coming to you, you can barely like bend over and pick it up anymore. And then you try to wake up the next day after an 8 p.m. men's basketball league, and you try to wake up and go to work the next day and sit in a desk for 8 hours. It's like that's not going to make you feel better, nor is it going to drive you to want to exercise and be healthier because now you just feel worse
Yeah.
after exercise. And so I really want to help people on that frontier, help them feel better in their bodies, help their joints feel better, help them understand how to eat to improve their, body composition and overall just once again lower inflammation, get off all the processed foods, eat high quality food, equalize, uh, equals, sorry, high quality muscle, high quality body composition, right?
Yes.
So that's really what I teach. That's really my focus now is trying to help dads and parents. I get a lot of female requests as well from, anywhere from 25 to 50, really. Um, just because it's a tough road for everybody, especially women coming off of giving birth and um, I think we do a terrible job in this country of of really giving women credit and a chance to be a mom, be present, and recover from that. It's serious what you guys go through. So,
I immediately think of when when we have babies, the first thing that we usually hear is, get your body back. I'm like, I didn't lose my body. I made an entire other body,
yeah.
and then it came out of me. Like, it's so sickening to me. Just to get your body back. Well, first let me, breathe a little bit now that, I don't have another human inside of me blocking my diaphragm.
Yeah.
And uh,
Literally breathe.
yeah,
Like your
yeah, let me,
diaphragm's been constricted
yeah. And then,
forever.
yeah, let me focus on, I'm still gonna eat well to, you know, be the person I need to be for this child, and let me be there for them. And then maybe we can talk about getting my body back. That's how I hear it in my head. Get your body back.
That sounds very much like an infomercial I've seen
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
Did you just give birth? Get your body back.
But wait, there's more.
For just 19.99 today. Yeah.
Plus shipping and tax. Um,
If you call in less than 10 minutes, you'll get two additional get your body backs.
I'm gonna make this into a commercial, like do some edits, throw like a
Yeah.
BAM in there.
The yellow sale tag sign with the red outline. That's perfect. It's in
Yeah.
every single infomercial. I think we could I think we could make some money.
Let's do it. What's that called? Collabing?
Yeah, yeah. Let's collab and
Let's
we'll make
collab.
an infomercial. We'll buy some 2 a.m. screen time on QVC and I think we'll get it done.
Yeah.
No,
Uh,
it's a great point you make though. It's like there's no there's no grace, right? When we said before, there's no time to allow your body to go through that season. There's this unrealistic, and unleveled expectation that you just immediately have to look good again, right? And that's really how it's sold. Is like look good again. get back to yourself, which, case in point, you deserve to do everything for yourself as much as you can after you've
Mhm.
hosted a baby for 9 months and then given birth. And especially, I
Yeah.
don't know if you had a natural birth or a C-section. Neither one is easy. Both can have complications out the yin yang. One is a major surgery, one is supposedly natural, but completely equal to that, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, it's if somebody did that, if someone, gets knee surgery or a hip replacement, like nobody's like, "Hey, hurry up and get back to yourself," you know.
Exactly. Come on,
But you
bro, get
get,
your body back.
yeah, yeah. It's very silly,
Yeah.
the way that we do that, and there's so many other countries that are doing such a better job with how we handle that situation. So yeah, that's a whole nother. I feel like we talk for an hour on that
Mhm.
subject.
Yeah.
But there, regardless of what you're coming back from or what you're going through or what you're trying to the starting point that you're at and where you're trying to get, the principles and the behaviors are all the same for basically everybody, right? You should be constantly, getting up out of your chair if you sit all day for work and
Mhm.
microdose movement. You should be eating as much nutrient dense whole foods as you can every day. Minimize the amount of processed food and alcohol and junk that you put into your body. I always tell people your body is a big filter. We filter light, and we see color. We filter sound waves and we hear words. We filter people's aura and we get a vibe.
Mhm.
We filter food into microscopic nutrients. Um, we filter our water that we intake to get out all the crap that's in it, and microplastics and uh, contaminants and phthalates and all that stuff, so that we can try to detoxify it through our liver and gallbladder and kidney and get all that out because it's not normal in our body. We filter sunlight and we create vitamin D, right? So
Mhm.
our body's a big filter, and the more crap you put into a filter, the faster you have to replace the filter, right? We all know that's the case with a water filter or with a filter for your AC in your car or in your house. So if you look at it through that lens, you go, "Oh yeah, well, I should probably treat my filter with with more respect," right?
Yeah.
Um, and if you follow those principles and you sleep and give yourself time to actually sleep in a good sleep environment, um, and go outside in nature, have good relationships. I mean, those 4 to 7 things apply for anyone who's trying to get healthy. Doesn't matter if you just gave birth, doesn't matter if you're 300 pounds overweight, doesn't matter if you're underweight and trying to get to a healthy weight.
Mhm.
All those things still apply. The nuances obviously come into play, but I
Yeah.
think people get paralysis by overanalysis. There's a lot of information out there, like you said, that people get taught by people who don't have educations, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden they're twisting, who said this with who said that, and they're conflicting, and then I don't know what to do. Which category do I fall into? Well, I'll just order Domino's again,
Yeah.
and then be mad at myself tomorrow that I did it. And that's pretty
Yeah.
much what people do.
Yeah. Which is also part of what I try to help people heal. Like if you eat the pizza, cool, move on with your day the next day. You still need
Yeah,
to eat the next day,
yeah,
right?
just you did that. Just make a good decision in the morning when you wake up.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. There's
You
no
don't have.
toppings of guilt that were spread on
Yeah,
there.
no,
Yeah.
no. Don't judge yourself. Eat it. Go for it.
Eat it.
Yeah, eat it. Just eat it. And then when you do, understand, if it made you feel better, short term or in long term, good. Continue to eat it. If it didn't make you feel good long term, but it helped short term, cool. Make a better decision
Yeah.
next time. And just realize
Yeah.
that that's not going to get you to your end goal, but it helped in the moment. So cool. Go for it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I like to, instead of categorizing foods as good or bad, I like to say they're either good for your body or good for your soul. And
That's good.
sometimes they can blend and be both. But
There's a gray area for sure.
yeah. And not to say that there aren't foods that aren't bad for you.
Yeah.
And but for me it's more like how can I help people look at an apple and look at a piece of apple pie and have an emotionally neutral
Mm.
look at it, you know,
Yeah.
because that's another thing that we do is like we eat the thing and we feel guilt. I'm like, you ate a piece of pie. Like you didn't burn down an orphanage, right?
Yeah.
Like
That's a good
like
point.
awesome. You had some pie. Enjoy it while
Uh,
you're eating it and then move on with your day. You're good. We're
that's
good.
it. And I always tell people too, not to take away from anything you just said, but like have fun with those things you like to eat in the sense of find a way to make them in a healthier way,
Hmm.
right? That typically even tastes better because it doesn't taste so synthetic, in my opinion. If you make an apple pie, you're gonna love the shit out of that apple pie so much more than going
Yeah.
to, the grocery store and buying it and it's been there for 2 weeks with, preservatives on it. I'm not saying that can't be enjoyable. You can't heat it up and go, that tastes really good.
Yeah.
But I promise you, if you make your own, you're gonna feel better because you did something before you ate the thing, because the thing that you're eating is made of healthier, ingredients, and then afterwards, because the thing is made with healthier ingredients, you're also gonna feel better. Um, because I think we can't deny that when you do eat something that is synthetic and just crap is crap, right? If it is made with crappy ingredients, crappy oils, crappy sugars, tons of bad grains, that does have a hormonal effect on you,
Mm.
right? When you do eat something like that, it affects your gut, it affects your serotonin levels, which affects your mood to some extent. And so obviously you are still the one driving that mood and whether or not you go down that path, so you can stop that momentum right then and there and go, yeah, I had it, whatever, who cares, get over it, let's move on. um but I always tell people, I'm like, you just enjoy the things you like to enjoy, go for them, but always know that you have the option to make it too, right? I love a nice juicy fat burger, right? With all the stuff on it. I want bacon. I want a hard, an over easy egg. I want, screw it, throw some onion rings on there. When you make it, oh man, it's so much more enjoyable.
I was gonna ask, what do you put on yours? I'll tell you if you tell me.
Yeah, I mean mustard, ketchup, pickles, bacon, um, uh, everything. I want that thing to be like.
Nice. Nice. I'm a bacon, avocado, jalapenos, cheddar cheese, and mayo.
Wow,
Mm,
that sounds good.
I'm drooling.
Yeah, yeah. I'm actually drooling like a dog right now. No, that sounds delicious. Uh, I'm not a huge cheese person. I really don't like
Mm,
cheese on burgers. And I don't enjoy jalapenos. I don't enjoy spicy very much. Like
mm,
I'm a baby. I don't eat. Kids were like, "Oh my God, buffalo!" I was like, "No, I don't want buffalo. I want barbecue, sweet barbecue." That's my kick. So sometimes I'll do like the Southwest kind of burger with like the barbecue, onion ring, bacon, uh,
mm.
tomato. Mm, that's another good one. It's nice and juicy. Very much so. But, the quality of the meat makes a difference. Sometimes it just tastes so much better when it's like a real good, authentic piece of like grass-fed meat. And you're like, this is so much better. It's so much more nutrient dense. You feel so much more full. Or like you go get, a fast food burger and you're like done in 3.5 seconds with it. And then you're like, all right, all my dopamine receptors are like going off like crazy. It was really good.
Mm,
But I feel like I could eat three more. You
yeah,
know?
yeah, that makes sense. My son's not a cheeseburger fan. He's 7.
Okay.
He doesn't like burgers, and he naturally is not like a bun. Like he doesn't like if I make
Interesting.
him, I'll make him a hot dog every once in a while, and he just wants
No
the hot
bun.
dog dipped in some ketchup and mustard, and that's it. No bun.
That's interesting.
Like, interesting.
And he won't eat bread outside of that either?
He likes grilled cheese sandwiches.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, he's not really a big sandwich kid.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's
It's interesting how people have different tastes.
preference.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would die for some pasta when I was a kid. Like I remember specifically like before basketball games when I was like 10, 11, 12, I would just eat like 3 bowls of plain pasta. I would
Hmm.
just eat like penne. I would just crush a whole box of penne. It was like the most
Yeah.
satisfying thing for me. I don't know why. And then I think about it, I'm
Your
like,
body needed the carbs.
yeah, yeah, but it was like
Yeah.
I had this obsession with like the taste of it, even though it was so plain. I think I used
Hmm.
to put like butter and pepper on it, and that was it. And I would just go to town on a whole box of penne before
Nice.
that. Yeah. And then it was in high school, it was Subway. We used to all walk and we'd get Subway sandwiches, and everyone would eat their Subway sandwich like on the way to the basketball game. And I used to have them douse it with like their vinaigrette dressing. It was like a red wine vinaigrette dressing. And it was just
Hmm.
all sugar, for sure. But it tasted, he was like 16. I was like, this is so good. I don't care what's in between the rolls, as long as that dressing's on there, I'm gonna eat it.
That's awesome. My
Yeah.
I lately have been making tacos out of everything. So like my favorite thing lately is every week I make a bunch of teriyaki chicken just to like as part of my prep for the week.
Yeah.
And I've been making breakfast tacos with teriyaki chicken, a basted egg, arugula, and sriracha. No spicy for you, but yeah.
Yeah.
And I've been using probably not the best, but it's the Mission Carb Balance tortillas, not because I'm anti-carb, but because
Okay,
they
yeah.
have 18 grams of fiber.
Hmm.
And so I wrap it in one of those and I'm like,
So
I've been
yummy.
experimenting a lot.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. I always encourage uh try new things. Gamify, I was even making something today, earlier, a presentation for one of my nutrition programs, and I was talking about um gamify your your data, right? Gamify your body composition, gamify your blood work, gamify, um, with the intention of just like have fun with it, right? Have fun with the fact that you're in control a lot of the time, and um, you can look at these, blood markers, and you can look at your body composition, and then you can even cross-reference the two and say, oh my gosh, when I get to this body composition, I see that my numbers go better. If I get
Hmm.
this number better, I see that that number gets better. And it's a lot more nuanced than look at your weight, and your weight's everything, right? And so
Yeah.
that's where I try to focus people who are data driven, is like you should track, maybe your sleep, You should track your body composition, and you should get your blood work taken regularly, and you should see how all those things cross-reference.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you, if you looked at a week in which you went on vacation, and you probably drank and ate more junk, you probably didn't sleep as well or prioritize a normal sleep schedule, and you were traveling and out of routine, you may have not worked out. Your body composition probably changed. Your blood markers for sure changed within that week. And your sleep schedule probably, your sleep numbers probably weren't that good. Um, I'm not saying those things are all bad, but I'm just saying
Right.
uh, when you do go on vacation, you could actually look and see what actually happens to your body and go, huh, do you think I feel more rested when I get back from vacation if I do that every time? Or do
Yeah.
I feel like I need a vacation from my vacation because I was so quick to like want to numb everything that I left behind, right? Um, and so I don't personally, as I've gotten like to a point now where like I want a vacation and like take care of my body and like go see things and go to bed early and eat good food and like feel
Yeah.
better and not drink till I fall asleep. Um, so it's funny to, see people who do the opposite and then they get back from vacation and they find it hard to get back into their health and habit routine because they went completely AWOL from it. And then
Yeah.
they're like, oh, it's just so much, so tired. And it's like, to a certain extent, you're playing victim. Um, you know, you could definitely track some of that stuff and be aware of it, and maybe you would make a few better decisions next time. I'm not saying don't do that stuff and don't have
Right.
fun and let your hair down and be a person, but is that the majority of your trip or is it the exception to the rule, right? And I think
Yeah.
that's the 80/20 that we all have to figure out. And I always encourage my people, similar to the recipe thing and like make your own. I tell people, I go, live an 80/20 lifestyle and live the shit out of that 20%. But part of like growing up is realizing that that 20% can constantly improve. You can constantly be more satisfied with healthier food.
Mm.
When I was 20, what did that 20% look like? That looked like Chick-fil-A and Chipotle and ice cream and boatloads of cheap vodka. And then now it's like, now I have some like dried fruit and some like chocolate covered cashews, and I'm like, that was really good. That was like a nice, that was a nice dessert. And I'm not saying everyone has to get to my
Right.
extreme, but like, if you want ice cream, could you not just make your own version of it at home and enjoy that, right? So if you learn to like improve that 20% over time and still live it up, have fun, not saying to cut all those things out of your life,
Yeah.
but just keep track of it and understand how you feel and how it improves your sense of self and how it improves the numbers and how it improves your clothes fitting or not fitting and whether or not you're getting closer to your goal, assuming your goal is healthy and reasonable.
Yeah. I think what stands out in everything you just said without you actually saying these words was like keeping the mind-body connection, like just
Mhm.
paying attention to how you're feeling and processing it up here and in your body rather than just trying to follow this strict thing, eat this much, blah, blah, blah. That's boring.
It's- and
So
it's
boring.
toxic. It is. It's
Yeah.
toxic. Like, and that's why I call it nutritional freedom. Like everyone
Mhm.
understands the concept of financial freedom, right? You want to reach a level where you're not like being an idiot with your money, but you don't have to stress about every individual little decision and $6
Yeah.
here and $7 here. When you become aware of that connection you just mentioned. And when you start to hone in on that and practice it, it's like a yoga practice. It is a practice to learn how to
Yeah.
communicate and check in with yourself. You start to hire somebody who's a professional and can give you guidance and give you those ahas. Like, oh my gosh, I never looked at it that way. I didn't realize that. I tell people, I'm not trying to teach you facts. I'm trying to change the perception you have with food. And it once you do that, you have this nutritional freedom where, like I said, you go on vacation and you don't have to worry about everything you're eating, but you're in tuned enough to know, all right, I've done that like 4 times in a row, and the last 2 times I actually didn't feel better afterwards. So let me make a better decision this time. And all
Yeah.
of a sudden you're like, wow, I do feel much better. And I know what decision to make because I've learned the X's and O's. And I learned, I took time to, with all the things we entertain ourselves with and we educate ourselves on, the fact that we don't educate ourselves on our bodies more is sad, you know? So,
Yeah. You know what comes to me when you talk about nutritional freedom
mhm,
is getting to a place where you can say, I eat whatever I want, and
mhm.
that not meaning I eat a bunch of junk all day. Like, I eat whatever I want. I love a well-made, delicious salad. I love some apples. Give me some of those, what was it, chocolate covered what?
Cashews.
Cashews, yeah. And it's like getting to this place of I eat whatever I want and nobody tells me what to do. I just listen to my own body and it being like the mixing the eat I eat whatever I want and it being the healthiest thing for you in that moment. So
Right.
yeah, I
For
love
you
that.
for you mentally, physically, spiritually, all of it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Food for the soul, food for the body.
yeah,
Yeah, and the last like phrase that kind of ties this all together, that I always tell people is do the best you can with what you have in front of you and while you can, right? So
yeah,
making that best decision with what's presented in front of you, and how you're feeling internally, that's nutritional freedom. And being able to, you know, like you said, no one's excited to go, yes, I can't wait to count how many grams of chicken I'm about to have with my sweet potatoes, right?
yeah.
No, nobody enjoys that. And then, I was 14 calories over today. Oh, geez. I'll have to cut that out tomorrow so I don't get to finish, one bite of my whatever it is,
Yeah,
It's like, no, that's not freedom. Um, yes, discipline is freedom, and having structure and having a level of understanding that allows you to make the decisions in the moment, not have to be a drill sergeant, and still get towards your goals and still feel happy and healthy, and have data to back up that you're happy and healthy, because we don't want to just feel it necessarily, but you definitely want to make sure your blood works good.
yeah,
um, that's how I look at it. It sounds like we're very much aligned in all of that.
yeah. I feel like I could talk to, like we're already at an hour and I want to
Oh my
respect your
God.
time. Um, and I
Crazy.
honestly, I'd love to have you back on and we could nerd out for another hour if you want. Um,
Absolutely.
I
I'll
do have,
definitely
I do
100%
have
down for
repeating offenders, so
that. I'll be
um,
guilty as charged, hopefully.
nice. Yeah, if it's cool, I'll send you my link and you can, I think I'm booked through February, so it'll give us a nice little
Perfect
break.
little break.
But I feel like we have so much more to talk about.
I feel like we didn't even scratch the surface. I feel like we're
Yeah,
still just learning each
yeah.
other. No, this is
Um,
great. Oh no,
I saw nothing. I saw
microphone
nothing.
down.
But I do want to ask you a question I ask everybody at the end of every episode, and that is, if you had one piece of advice that you could give to the world, what would it be?
Um, wow. Uh, your personal decisions have an infinite, or therefore limitless, impact in ripple effect in the universe. Um, it's what I've designed my entire life and brand and business around is the fact that every decision you make has a ripple effect into the next decision you make, into the decisions that those around you make, into the decisions of mass consciousness, and all the way throughout. I definitely believe that to be true. And so it's not a piece of advice, but it's instead a different lens to look at the world through. And I think that changes every decision you therefore make from here on out.
Beautiful beasts, Dillan Foss, signing off. Until next time.